I'm in Chicago. One fatal mistake I might have made. I personally don't play lads, but I know enough about lads at this point that I might as well. Hello, I'm here at Anime Magic. This is my first time at this convention. We're currently setting up. It is day 0, and we've been here for about 20 minutes or so, just putting together the skeleton. At least we have a good amount of time. I believe setup is from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I know there's a couple hours before con tomorrow for people to set up. However, for myself, 2 hours is just not enough, which is why we're setting up today. It is my first time at this particular event. The last time I was here in the Chicago area was in 2023 for Anime Central. Anime Central is one of this area's largest anime conventions. Anime Magic just happens to be one of their smaller ones, and I heard decent things about it, so I wanted to try it for myself. I do know it is on the smaller end, and I'm not expecting ASIN numbers by any means. But my goal for this event is just to cover expenses in a little bit more. Anime Magic is located in Rosemont, Illinois at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, which is the same con center as Anime Central. While my expectations are very low for this event, while this con is on the smaller end compared to ASIN, I have heard decent things about it from other vendor friends who have been to this event before, so I thought I would try it on my own. I believe this is the first time they've had it in this hall center. Kind of reminds me of Kentia Hall for Anime Expo, because from the vlogs that I've seen last year, maybe 2 years ago, they were in the main hall, which looks similar to ASIN. However, this time they have it in Hall G, which kind of looks like a parking lot low-key, but I don't want to say that it is until I confirm it. I don't think it is, just based off of the floor. But very excited to try out on my own. I did try a deep dish pizza, which I don't remember if I tried one when I was here in ASIN, but got a chance to try a deep dish. It was delicious, and we get to see the bean later today, so can't wait for that. Also, interesting thing about this convention, I don't know if this applied to the other hallways or the different halls in this convention center, but apparently you can drive in, which is kind of wild. You're literally driving in right now. Like, you probably saw this with a few of the other backgrounds, but there are a few cars in here, and it seems like you could drive in to your table to unload, which is kind of wild. We're just waiting for the custard in a bit. Hello, everybody. I'm at the Bean. So you might be wondering, why am I at the Bean? This is your sign to consider traveling to an out-of-state or non-local convention so you can treat it as a vacation con. I'm going to tell you right now that this is not for everyone. If you know that you will not cover expenses, please don't do this. But I am telling you as someone who has gotten to the point in my business where I am able to invest a little bit more in vending at non-local events, even traveling all the way to Chicago so that I can see the Bean. I know for myself, this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Anime Magic, is just to be able to treat this as a vacation con. And while I do know that, especially in this economy, it might not be very feasible to do that for every single convention, I know I can't, but in the opportunities that I am able to do so, maybe once in a while as in like once or twice a year, I'm able to allocate 1 or 2 conventions that maybe I got into, and I'm able to travel to another state that I've never visited or another city and be able to experience what that city has to offer while having my expenses covered through vending at that convention. So if you're looking for a sign to consider traveling to a convention so you can treat it as a mini vacation, this is your sign. Another example besides Anime Magic is with Otakon last year. Me and my friend were able to go to Washington, D.C. for the weekend, so then we were able to see the Capitol as well as the other buildings and museums available basically on Otakon's pocket. And in exchange, I was able to vend at said convention and basically cover costs and more. And that is something that I would like to do in the future with a lot of my conventions, is to travel out of state, discover different cities and states that I've never been to, probably even look into going to an international convention, which seems like a lot of fun and is something that I would like to implement in the future. Our sushi for dinner is hecka fancy. Look at that.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, it is day 0. It is day 1 of Anime Magic. It is 10:55, and con technically started at 10:30. I didn't realize, but there is a VIP timing or VIP entrance, which is at 10 a.m. and then everyone else comes in at 10:30. I think we got here around 9:40, 9:50. From what I've heard about this event, it usually doesn't really pick up until the afternoon, so it'll be a while until then. But we have had a sale, fortunately, from another vendor, so thank you, Kiko.
I sold
2. Oh, you sold one? Oh, you sold a phone grip, apparently. Thank you. Granted, I did hear that this con is a baby con, so again, my expectations are very low anyway. But as I was talking to Kiko, I was thinking, like, this is why it's so nice to be able to travel outside to other cons that are not necessarily local to me. As you know, if you watch the vlogs, I always vend at California cons. But it is nice being able to vend outside of my usuals because then I get to see a lot of different faces and visit places that I haven't been before, so it's been fun. I will say the hours are crazy long. Luckily, it's on the badge. Thank you for putting it on the badge. Friday's from 10 to 7, Saturday is 10 to 7, and then Sunday is 10 to 5, which is doable. Not mad about it. Ideally, my perfect con hours are 11 to 6, but beggars can't be choosers, so not bad. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. I would like to welcome a special guest. It is his first day today. Henry of Sticker Zoo.
I am an official Mualcaina employee.
Yeah, it's his first day within the Chicago location of our branch. So we are here to train him. If you want to see his journey on trying to be the best Mualcaina helper there ever was, watch his vlog.
I already am. Y'all don't even have to watch the vlog. You already know I'm the best employee out there. My job experience, I worked for Goozy Pins, Kelsey Kishi Draws, and very briefly Erica Peeklin Studios. That's
true.
That's my resume.
And they were all travel shows, so very impressive. That's also why I hired him. So some things about this con that I'm kind of surprised, but maybe it's just because it's been a while since I vended in this area. The food is relatively affordable, at least from California standards. Like the musubi is $6, which I'm assuming is a standard style, like the size of a Spam with rice, and then nori, $6. In California, that would probably be $8. The onigiri is like $8. There's like ramen for $15, and I feel like in California, that would probably be $17, $20. So for con food, that is pretty reasonable. And I personally wouldn't mind getting food here. However, we did have a friend get us sandwiches, so that helped with reducing costs. I am just mentally preparing myself because it is going to be a very long day today. Also, I've noticed a pattern in a lot of conventions where they are moving into becoming a ribbon convention and introduce ribbons. If you're not familiar with badge ribbons, I talk about them in my Anime Los Angeles vlog. And they're basically ribbons with an adhesive at the top, and then you can attach it. In this case, I'm not quite sure if this fits a ribbon. However, I did see Anime Magic post on their socials that they were sponsored by this particular ribbon company so that you can order through them, so you can have some for this convention. I didn't bring some just because I felt frazzled and was not feeling it. But just based on the shape of this badge, it does seem like you could fit some ribbons. Not sure if it might peek out like the typical badge size. Also, I've never seen a badge this perfectly square. I'm used to rectangular badges, always vertical, sometimes horizontal, but never square, so that's interesting. If you're familiar with the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, I'm kind of familiar with it. From my knowledge of where this portion of the convention is, it is in Hall G, which is on the second floor. If you're not coming from any of the hotels or the parking garage that is attached through the Sky Bridge, I believe you go through the main lobby, where I'm more familiar where Anime Central typically is. You go up the escalator and then you'll find Hall G, where Anime Magic is. I think there's 3 or 4 conventions going on, which is also why this event is not downstairs where ASIN is. Maybe it's also a price thing, I'm not sure. But from my understanding, Anime Magic has been at different locations every single year, and I don't think they've been at the same location more than once. But even with the state of conventions now, my expectations are low, because when I was talking to another vendor friend who did this con last year, she said it was a decent con and she had to fly, which is why I thought, like, well, if I make this certain amount less than her, it would still be fine. But we'll see. Very, 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 very low expectations. We did pack some food as courtesy of Kevin. Thank you. Pot belly sandwich, never had it before. I think I got it's like a steak. I can't wait. Thank you. Hello, it is 1:27. Pretty slow start, though I expected it. Granted, it's been a few hours. There has been some sales here and there, but I wouldn't say that there is a more popular product. It seems to be a mix of pins and stickers. However, I do feel like we are on track to beat GalCon Friday numbers, which not bad. I do feel like I'm a bit more prepared this weekend because I actually have things that I need to do in preparation for SAC Anime next weekend, as well as Anime Impulse OC. So I did just finish the Stamp Rally promo. Very excited for that one. Please do try and participate if you can. You do get a free shaker keychain if you complete our stamp rally. I'm also putting a doc together for my proxy at Anime Impulse OC, just so she has very little to no questions in how my Artist Alley table is supposed to look and run. So I got a few things to do, as well as partially edit this vlog as well, because I do want to get it done before then. But yeah, keeping ourselves productive while also munching on sun chips. I love my garden salsa. See you in a bit. Also, temperature-wise, I'm chilly. I'm getting cold, and I have goosebumps. I did not bring a jacket. I left my jacket at the hotel, and I didn't bring a thicker jacket, because I thought it would be warm this weekend. It is not. It's actually like relatively nice weather-wise. Like, it's been pretty cloudy, and though I did check to see what the weather would be like, it said like 80% humidity. It has not felt that humid, honestly. Okay, so someone just gave me a ribbon, and I can report that this does fit on the Anime Magic badge. I'm assuming this is a standard ribbon, because it doesn't feel any bigger than the ribbons that I get at ALA. So it fits perfectly. If you look at the attendee badges, it actually looks really cute, because it's a large circle, and then there's some type of rectangular portion on the bottom. So it's perfect for putting ribbons on it. So if you do end up pending here, probably bring ribbons. Bring ribbons. How am I slurring over my own words? Thank you for stopping by. It's now 3:24. I'm effectively very, very, very sleepy. I did take a nap for a good 20 to 30 minutes. Honestly, I think the jet lag is just affecting me a lot, even though it's only 2 hours. Also, we have currently we just hit GalCon Friday sale numbers, which, woo. Granted, the bar was very low to begin with for GalCon, and since it is 3:24, and we started at 10 a.m. versus GalCon's 2 p.m., and that one ended at 8 p.m., today we end at 7 p.m., so the bar was a bit higher for this convention, given that it's a lot more hours, but they're longer hours, so I was hoping to make more than GalCon Friday. Apparently people already started school, which is why maybe they're coming in later. I wouldn't be surprised, and that's probably why con ends later today. But still long hours. Not a big fan of them. Right, so for the 3 for 40 deal, 2 times with tax, this is your total. And then you can tap or insert whenever you're ready. You got the pins? Okay. I'll ask you a few questions on the screen. Perfect. With your purchase, you do get a free tote bag and a free hand fan. And you're all set. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one. I wanted to say thank you if you came by from social media or YouTube or even the podcast. And I appreciate you stopping by and supporting. Thank you so much. Surprisingly, there were like a few people who... there were a few people from way back when I was at ASIN 2 years ago. So really appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Henry of Sticker Zoo. Hi, I'm Code Sinkleaf, and I generated my username. It's 3 random words.
Jenny came by and gave me an ube pie from Jollibee. What the heck? Actually, I've never tried it before, but very excited too. It looks so good. Oh, how crispy. This is good. Ube filling. It's really crispy. Thank you for stopping by.
Of course, thank you so much for just being you and putting out such good content. And I mean, you've been such an inspiration. So thank you so much for helping me.
Hello. We are now 2 hours away from con ending. It is 5:01. It was a quick surprise for the past hour or so because there's a little bit of a rush just because there were a few people that I recognized from earlier this morning who did think about their purchase and they really wanted the corduroy bag. So luckily they bought some. We're running pretty low on them, actually. I think we're almost sold out on some of them, but please note that I literally only brought like 2 or 3 of each corduroy bag, so because I didn't ship any and they all fit in my large suitcases, but still good, especially for day one. We're also running low on the heart wallets. I don't even remember how many I brought, but probably 3 to 4 of each color. I think we're down to 1 red heart wallet, and then the rest are just the black gold, and then a couple pink ones. Still no sales on the classic Ida bag, as well as the backpacks, which I'm a little surprised by. That's okay. Economy is still on a downturn, so not surprised. We did have a few vendor friends come by to say hi, and some of them were tabled a bit further out because fortunately for us, my table is towards the front, so it is on the first row when you enter, so it's very easy to access us. However, there's about 200 to 300 artists in the same hall, and as you continue going on through the rows, you are going to forget a few artists, or maybe it'll blend. But they were further back, and they were even saying when they came by that it's so much more busy within the first couple rows. Granted, for most cons, your table location does matter, so that is one thing to think about for Anime Magic. So con just ended. It is 7:03 con hours. It was from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and that is going to be for today and tomorrow. Looking at the performance for today and numbers-wise, it's actually not bad. My expectations were very, very low, and I was honestly expecting to break even maybe early tomorrow, just based off what I've heard about how this event could be a little bit on the slower side, but I am pleasantly surprised that we barely broke even towards the end of con. I will say though, for tomorrow's numbers, I would be expecting either about the same as today or a little bit less. If you know how I typically calculate what my expected Saturday numbers would be, Saturday is usually more busy, right? And so for myself, I would typically assume that I would make more on a Saturday. However, in my case, because we are running very, very low on the corduroy bags, some of the plushie keychains, and some of the heart wallets, I would assume that I would just not make as much because we're running low in stock. I personally didn't feel like shipping product to this convention only because I wasn't sure how this con would go, and I don't have the resources to ship product back if I have myself in my suitcases. So I wanted to go on the safe side and just bring everything all in suitcases. We're gonna go get dinner. Apparently we're getting deep dish pizza. Very excited. Thank you. Looks so good. Good morning. It is 11 o'clock in the morning. So again, con is from 10 to 7 p.m. today. Very long hours in my opinion, but I digress since I've been saying that every single time. We're here with
The zoo of the stickers.
It is day 2 of him helping me for this event. Luckily we made a sale. We did sell one Rengoku pin. Yeah, lately, I think I mentioned this briefly at K-Play, but I have been recording my sales through the computer now. With the help of this, you can see his vlog for the explanation. But before, I used to record everything through Notebook just because that was easier, and in the moment, didn't have to bring a laptop with me, which can be a bit heavy. But in my case, because I do want to have more accurate sales inventory, especially for taxes, when you have to calculate your COGS, cost of goods sold and whatnot, I would much rather have an accurate representation so I also know which items are selling the most, because for a lot of busy events, I don't usually have the option to write everything down because there's always a sale going on, and once that sale is done, I don't remember what just sold. So I felt that it would be easier if I were to track it on the computer. Luckily, he did program that sheet for me, so that helped a lot. I don't know a lot about sheets. Did not add that to my resume. Granted, we have been trying it for the slower events so we can be more acclimated to it. However, I have yet to try it at a more busy event. So one of them would be SAC Anime, and we'll see how that goes, because SAC Anime would definitely be one of the cons where I am put to the test with using that tracker sheet. He's eating his lunch now. What are you eating? Sandwich. It's the same one as yesterday, so it's from Potbelly, and it's pretty good because, so we each got a sandwich. We split it in half, so then we had some yesterday, and then we also had one today. And I feel like it was enough. Also, one thing I do want to note is that it's ridiculously warm now, which I'm wondering if it's because there's more people, which I don't think that's the case. It just feels like the AC's not blasting like yesterday. But I wonder if it's because yesterday people might have complained that it was too cold, which I don't think they did. I know I was, but that was also because I was wearing short sleeve and shorts. But this time I'm wearing long sleeves and jeans, so maybe it feels warmer for me, but it's too warm. To be honest, I have resorted to using my fan. I did bring a couple fans because I didn't realize I had some extras from Anime Expo, and I think I just forgot them. So I did bring a few here because I knew it might be pretty warm here, and then the rest I would bring to SAC Anime Summer, and then from then on, new fans for the following summer.
I returned with some onigawaras from Mob Psycho. Onigiris.
Yeah.
They are from the Gangnam Market, which apparently doesn't sell Korean food, but people are like, where's the Gangnam food?
I think it's funny because, yeah, they only have Japanese food, but it's like a Korean name, but... In terms of foot traffic, it does seem like there's a lot more people walking around. Very lively, at least for the first couple hours, compared to yesterday where it didn't really start to pick up until later in the afternoon, I would say 2, 3 p.m. But it might just be because it's Saturday. Most people don't have work today, and so they're able to come today. Even just looking at the badges, most people had Saturday badges rather than full weekend badges. But interesting observation. We're stopping by! One fatal mistake I might have made, but luckily I did not, was bring a lot of business cards, because I realized that for this con, a lot of people take business cards. I feel like for a lot of other events, or sometimes people will get a card, but with this one, a good amount. I've probably gone through 100, 200 business cards, and it's only Saturday, counting yesterday, of course. So I do recommend bringing a lot of cards for this convention. I actually ended up having to reorder some literally 10 minutes ago just because I'm running low. And the last time I purchased them was back in May. And I think I ordered like 1,000 pieces. So gotta keep up with that because otherwise I will have no business cards until SAC. Hi! Now this is something that I do want to talk about because I'm sure a lot of people in their artist alley journey do want to consider going into a travel convention. So what does that mean? This also depends on where you're located. I know for myself, being from California, there's so many cons. There's not even just conventions, there's so many anime events. It's very saturated in our area. So naturally, as someone who does do this full time, technically you could really just stay within the California area, assuming you get into all of these events. In the case for a lot of other people who might not have as many cons in their area, you might have to do a travel convention. So simply put, a travel convention is just a convention that you would have to travel to, whether that's through airplane, train, or long distance car. In my case, I am at a point where I do want to fly to other conventions because it can get oversaturated. As I said, within California, there's a lot of artists, there's a lot of events, and unless I continually update my catalog, most people will not purchase from me because they've already bought from me a few events ago. So if I don't want to continually update, because that is a lot of energy, that's a lot of time, I would have to travel to a different convention that is not within the events that I typically vend at. So if you're in that same situation, or you just want to travel to events and not have to be confined to the events in your area, first of all, you have to think, is this event big enough for you to consider vending there? Some examples of events that are worth it for a good majority of vendors are Anime Expo, SAC Anime Summer, Otakon, Anime Central, basically events that have 10K plus attendees and the theme or type of event matches your audience. In my case, I'm naming off anime conventions because most of my work is primarily anime. If I were to vend at a larger comic convention, furry convention, horror convention, maybe my work might not do as well versus an anime con. Usually with those types of conventions, I'm not going to say you can guarantee sales, but you will have more sales versus a smaller event that boasts 500 to 1,000 attendees. Let's say it's a convention where maybe it's not in the tens of thousands of attendees, but a decent amount, maybe more than your typical local convention. Is it worth it? And how do you determine if it's worth it? One, you have to look at flight costs, especially if you are flying over there. I'm not going to discuss trains because I've never gone on a train to go to an event, though I know for certain parts of the US, as someone who is from the US, I can't say about other countries. Usually a train is a feasible form of transportation to go from different conventions as a vendor, but in my case, I'm going to talk about flying. One, are flights affordable enough? Do you think you'll be able to make back those expenses? It's different if you're soloing and you're just paying for flights for yourself, or are you bringing a helper? Like in my case, I gotta pay for him and for him to get here. So that's one thing to consider in terms of transportation. Another thing is hotel. Do you want to pay for a hotel that is closer to the con? It might be more expensive, but you can save on rideshare costs. You don't need to wait as much time to get an Uber or a Lyft, and you can just walk to the con center. Or are you renting a car? I've never rented a car for an event, but if you have access to a car or are able to rent a car, then you might be able to get a hotel that is a bit further away because you have the means of getting there and just pay for parking each day. So those are just some things to think about. I know for myself, I only thought of these things just because I had to go through the process of finding stay and transportation to and from conventions, but you might come across your own little situations that you would have to think about for your own situation. We're sitting down now because I'm tired. So let's say you do want to travel to said travel con, but you don't want to deal with high expenses. In that case, very expensive flights, very expensive hotels, and you don't have the budget for that, nor do you think you can sell enough at that convention to at least break even. What do you do and how do you save money? One common way to save money on hotel stay is to stay with a friend. Whether that's a friend, family member, another artist alley vendor who might be staying or living at that location, those are some easy ways to cut the cost of hotel stay. I've heard of some friends who basically have this type of policy where other artist alley vendor friends can stay at their couch, and in exchange, they can stay at that other artist alley friend's couch if they're doing a con in that area. The other thing, let's say you don't feel comfortable doing that, or you just don't know anyone who might be living in that location, you can also split a hotel. I personally would like to just split with at least one other person if I have a close trusted friend. But for other people, if your risk tolerance is a little bit lower, some people stay with multiple people in one hotel room, and you can save hundreds of dollars just by doing that. Some people bring an air mattress in a hotel room, which sometimes I don't know how you have the space for that, but possible. I've seen people do it. So let's say for a hotel stay of 5 nights, it's $1,000. If you're splitting it with 3 other people, so there's a total of 4 of you, instead of paying $1,000, you only pay $250, and you basically save $750, which is a really big deal. So that's on a hotel stay. Let's say transportation. Flights can be very expensive, especially if you are on one side of the coast and are trying to get to the other side. In my case, it's coming from Los Angeles to going to New York or Florida. In that case, sometimes you can't really do much about it, but some things I've seen other people do is get the more undesirable flight times, whether that's departing at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, or late at night. But if you do have the means to do so in a closer event proximity, like let's say you're not going from coast to coast, but you're going a couple states away, definitely look into taking the train. I know for the California area, there's the Amtrak, there's a Metrolink. Not sure about East Coast or Midwest areas, but it is really easy because at least you're not thinking about the route, dealing with traffic, and so on, which brings us to the last option, and one of the more common ones is driving. If you have the means of renting a car, I have seen some people use their personal car, but I personally would not want to drive past a certain number of hours in my own car because I don't want to deal with the mileage of all that, and it just takes so long. But I have seen some people who have driven hecka long hours. I think a couple years ago, I remember my table neighbor for Fanime said that they drove all the way to San Jose from Texas, I believe, and it was 12 hours. And I'm like, I guess, but I don't really like driving that long. So it's really up to you, whichever one is more doable for yourself. I just personally would not like to drive more than 6 hours for an event. But for a lot of people, they don't mind doing it because you also get really nice scenery depending on where you're driving into. But the benefit of driving, I will say, is that you have a car to drive you within places during the convention. Because I have had some experience where I usually drive to NorCal, I would prefer that over flying. And I have other friends who fly from different parts of SoCal to NorCal instead. But then because I have a car, I'm able to drive us to dinner, to lunch, and we don't have to deal with Ubering to places. So that is one thing to consider, especially if you're traveling to an event, whether you want access to a car or if you don't mind Ubering or Lyfting or ride sharing anywhere. Let's say you're traveling from California to the UK. You don't really have an option. You do have to fly. So of course there's certain locations where you don't really have a choice in the matter, but those are some transportation options to consider, especially if you are on a budget and do want to do a travel con. In your case, if you do travel conventions or conventions that are not local to you, which method do you prefer? Do you prefer using a plane, train, or a car? Please let me know down below, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. There's a good amount of things to do here. They have Kung Fu bubble tea. I know they also have that other event that is mostly tattoo focused. There's snakes. There's snakes. So this is the vendor space area, which is just across the other booths, and then Artist Alley is all the way over there. It doesn't seem like the vendor area is as busy. If anything, it's a bit darker. Even with the lighting situation, it looks brighter on camera, I'm gonna be honest, but it's a bit darker here and very much spaced out compared to the aisles in Artist Alley. So it really is not as busy. So if you do end up having a vendor space for whatever reason, it is preferred that you bring lights. Yeah, look at these aisles. It's so widely spaced here compared to Artist Alley. So that's the vendor area. So we're crossing into the, not really exhibitors, but seems like they're just showcasing things and not necessarily selling. Like over here, they do have reptiles, which is quite cool. I think they're promoting a reptile show coming soon in Chicago. And then over there is the Artist Alley. There's a good amount of food options, I will say. And it is quite busy, but from what it seems like, a good amount of the attendees are in the artist alley. And it also feels like the artist alley over there is a bit darker than if you were towards the front here. We've been delivered some goodies. Thank you to Gomipon. Very cute. We got some stickers. They're so cute. And then they gave me a ribbon. I'm choking myself. It says Copus Girl. We love that. Thank you for stopping by. We got more goodies. It was so sweet meeting y'all. Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Becca, for coming by. And we also got, what is it? Ice cream scoops, free ice cream scoop coupons from Becca. Look how cute, the JJK sticker. And then of course they know me, Nanami. Are we surprised? No. Me coping that Nanami's VA is in ANYC. This is cute. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yippee. Hello.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? Everyone's so nice here. I say that, I think probably like 5 times, maybe take a shot of water every time I say that, but everyone's just so nice here. And I had the same experience back with Anime Central, and I love it here. Everyone's so nice. Also, this print, this is so sweet. Thank you, Isabel. This is their username. And it comes with that cute banana sticker. What the heck? I like fruit stickers. Like those the stickers on fruits. So they are fruit stickers, even though this is a sticker of a fruit with stickers. Super cute. Also, I really like koi fish. I don't know if they knew that, but I really like koi fish. Quick haul of the snacks, because this is honestly very sweet. I was not expecting this at all. So many. Like, I love Hello Panda. And Pocky Matcha is so cool. What the heck? And the fact that they gave us this cute drawstring bag of Kirby and Waddle Dee, which is funny because Henry loves Waddle Dee, and a bunch of sticker sheets and a box cutter. I would use that box cutter. Actually, I was looking for a new box cutter. The fact that it's a cute one. Oh my gosh, what the heck? This is so sweet. And even a fan is just, they did not need to give us a fan. That is really sweet. Thank you so much for stopping by again. Like, this is so generous. And I really appreciate that. Even went through the effort of getting us things because you didn't really have to. It's like a whole bag of goodies. Oh my goodness. So appreciative. Thank you so much for stopping by, Mandy. This was so sweet. Everyone's so nice here. It is 6:55 and con ends in 5 minutes. Thinking about how today went in comparison to yesterday, we did make a little bit more than yesterday, but it's probably just a couple hundred. Still not bad. I will say though, if I were to compare this to what I would ideally like to make in one day, it is a little bit on the lower end. Lower end as in it's just a couple hundred away, but from what I expected with this event, it is still pretty good. However, just basing it off of today and yesterday's numbers, we also don't know how tomorrow will go. Maybe it might be better, but I also, similar to my expectations today, I would say that it's on the lower end because I sold out of most of the Ita bags that I did have available. Unless a lot of people purchase enamel pins, I don't think it will be as much as Friday, let's say. Still decent numbers, but I will give my full analysis tomorrow. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. We're getting hot pot later. Fancy! Wow! Good morning, it is 10:34 and con just opened for general because VIP was from 10 to 10:30. Fortunately, we have a shorter day today. It ends at 5 instead of our usual 7 p.m., which thank goodness. I'm at a point now in my 3-week convention event weekend. 3 week? I don't know. It's getting to me. But every weekend for the past 2 weeks so far. Next week will be my 3rd week. I've been doing events that are non-local and I'm tired because last weekend I did do GalaxyCon San Jose. I do have the vlog up here. This weekend I am in Chicago for Anime Magic, but next weekend I'm doing 2 events. I will be at SAC Anime Summer while my friend will be at Anime Impulse OC for me. So I have to prep for both events. I do have some of the things prepped for Impulse OC, fortunately, but I only have not too many days to prep for those events, so your girl's tired. But granted, this is part of the job.
Hi! Is Sylvie on the pin?
Yeah, anything else for you?
That's it.
All right.
Also, I really like YouTube videos.
Oh,
I
thank
watch them
you.
all the
Oh
time.
my gosh. Do you want to be on the vlog? I'm like vlogging right now. Yeah? Okay.
I need to like.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh my God, love you so much.
Thank you so much. Some information about Anime Magic. My table cost $175 because I only purchased one 6-foot table. Unfortunately, it only comes with one chair. I don't know the reasons for that. I'm sure it's probably more expensive if it came with 2 chairs, but not a big fan of it, especially if you're flying. And I will say don't even consider stealing other people's chairs because apparently, I don't know if it's just staff, but I heard that the Artist Alley head is threatening to ban people if they try to steal a chair. Not fun. It comes with one badge, and I had to purchase a separate badge for Henry. I think it was like 40 something. I'll have it listed. This is a 3-day event. As mentioned, the hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and then 10 to 5 on Sunday. You are able to set up your booth the day before. Pretty generous hours. It was from 10 to 8 p.m., which I do appreciate because not everyone is able to set up earlier in the day or even later in the day. It's just nice to have that much flexibility. And I believe there's about 2 hours of setup before con starts on Friday. This event is at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Would not assume that that's the same con center next year because it seems like it's been changing every single year, as well as the hallway has been changing every time. Thank you for stopping by. I do want to wait until the end of today to actually give my judgment on whether I would do this event again. I will say though, after speaking to a lot of other Artist Alley vendors who are local as well as not local, this event is not necessarily recommended for most people. Especially if you're not local. I broke even and made some profit. However, I don't think that will be the case if I were to do this next year. And there are a couple of reasons why. One of them is that I'm not local. Because I'm not local and I don't do events like this every year and I'm pretty rarely here, people are more inclined to purchase from me because I'm not always going to be available to them in person. Versus when I do my California events, I'm at a lot of SoCal events, so a lot of people have the opportunity to purchase from me, so it's not necessarily rare versus when I'm here, because the last time I vended here was ASIN of 2023. Number 2, as mentioned, I do have a social media presence. It's going to be very ignorant if I don't bring that up. And a good amount of sales did come from a lot of other Artist Alley vendors or a lot of other people who watch my channel, follow me on socials. So that did play a big part in being able to make a good amount of sales. But also the third reason, which I forgot there were 3 reasons. I have a really good table location. I'm literally at the entrance. Like if I just go there and then there, I'm at the entrance. I could see the entrance from my table. If you look at the map of Anime Magic, there are a good number of artists. Good numbers in the hundreds. I think there's about 200 to 300 artists. I didn't get a chance to count, but some people did list how many artists there were, and every year it's been growing. And I don't think that I would be able to make the amount of sales that I did the past couple days if I were in a table that is much further out. Even just hearing other artists' opinions on the event who are tabled towards the back, some of them are not happy about it because the traffic is so much more condensed in the Artist Alley, but also towards the first few rows. So those are the reasons why I think I did decent at this con, not exactly at my minimum of what I'd like to make in a day for most conventions, but still profited. So I cannot complain about that. Very grateful for the people who did come by because if it weren't for you, I don't know if I would make expenses. Thank you for stopping by. If you didn't already, I am also on Twitch. So is he. You're on Twitch?
I'll be twitching.
Okay. I stream every week, sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. Lately, I haven't streamed just because I've been doing back-to-back weekends of convention, but in September, I will stream more consistently. Usually I stream myself working on pin prep, collabs with other Artist Alley friends, as well as working on stamp rally designs and every other product in between. If you're interested, please consider following me on Twitch, and I will see you in the next stream. In between lulls, because there are big groups of people who do come by, but then there's also big gaps in between, I've just resorted to cleaning everything up and organizing while I have the motivation to do so, because otherwise, this is my folder of signs, like a bunch of signs. Not all of the signs are even here. Some of the signs are just in different boxes, and that's a problem because when I am taking down my display, my priority is just to go home. I just want to go home. It's not to keep things organized, though it should be. So since there is a lot of time, I decided to kind of organize this. I do have mini Ziploc bags for certain signage so they're not all moving around, because this is an open folder, like it's open at the top, but trying to be productive right now since I don't have my iPad and I can't draw right now. Funnily enough, so I didn't get a chance to meet the cosplayer who's like really big right now and is having many long lines here at Anime Magic, but apparently he's been giving out free photos, videos, as long as you line up, and I believe he just charges for the Polaroid that he does sign and doodle, which is really sweet. And it's kind of funny because we were just freaking out because a lot of people were getting kabedon, which if you don't know, it's basically like, oh, this one person and this one person, and then they hold you like that against a wall. That's a kabedon. And it's just funny because our friends got videos of them getting kabedon by the cosplayer, and he was cosplayed yesterday as Raphael from Lads and today as Silas from Lads, which is just funny. I personally don't play Lads, but I know enough about Lads at this point that I might as well. Let me know if I should play. The food options look pretty reasonable and there's no line right now, which is interesting because it's a little bit after lunchtime, but I do want to get maybe the Tokyo fries and the misubi just for a little snack because I think we're gonna get dinner later. If you didn't know already, I am also on Patreon. On Patreon, I like to post behind the scenes of all of my products, as well as reviews of some of my cons in the Biz Buddies tier, as well as some artist alley and small business tips. Please consider supporting this channel through my Patreon, and I will have it linked down below. It is currently 4:32, final verdict on this convention. Oh yeah, I didn't give a final verdict yet. Essentially, TLDR, if I did not have my following, nor a amazing table location, and some products that are on the higher end, like Ita bags, I don't think I would have made as much as I did, and I don't know if I would have been able to make expenses. So overall, I don't necessarily recommend this for most vendors, especially if you require flying, expensive hotel stay. Even for some locals, apparently it is not the most recommended convention. A few of them are still vending here because they can keep their costs very low. Maybe they have family to stay with. They just drive over here, or their expenses are literally just table and food. Or they also have a day job and this isn't their full time. Not saying you shouldn't try it, but do keep your expectations low. I had an amazing time here. Everyone is so kind, everyone's so nice. The attendees are great, vendors are great. I enjoyed my weekend, don't regret it at all, but that is something that you should consider if you do want to vend at this event. If you've been to Anime Magic, let me know. I believe this con has been going on since 2019. Have you been to Anime Magic? Have you vended at Anime Magic? Or do you want to go to Anime Magic? Or are you confusing it with Anime Central? Let me know in the comments. So now that you know what it's like vending at a non-local convention where basically we had to fly to, if you're interested in learning more about how a self-serve display works, if you're considering it, I know for myself I have mostly menu style display, but if you want to learn how to do a self-serve display, watch this video to see my experience with a self-serve display at GalaxyCon San Jose, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!